exactly.
They're
They're
more
ready
of a
for that.
portable. They could, you
Yeah.
could, did you have these guys like running with your runners during during the night
Oh,
run?
yeah. They had the second day. They were ponies, so that was even crazier. They had so many crazy outfits. They tried to run. You wouldn't believe, but they're slow. You wouldn't believe that.
I would.
Yeah, yeah, no, but it was, for the audience really loved this kind of shows. This is what we try to do. We try to do, with one part of the entertainment and cute installations for the kids, for the grown-ups, and then some maybe a bit more serious art or some
Right.
really artistical artworks, because this is the idea that everybody can come and enjoy, but whoever wants to discover a bit more, something a bit more serious, they have a chance here, but still they can have a good time. So I do always
Fantastic.
hope that we find a perfect balance between those two
Mhm.
categories to do something for them.
Welcome, everybody, to another AWA Agora. I'm your special guest host, Justin Mensch. Welcome to have you here. This is our 52nd episode of AWA Agora, and I'm happy to have a guest that was actually here for our second episode, Marko Bolkovic, who's based in Pula, Croatia. He's here today to talk to us about light festivals.
For us as a company and as a team of creators, it was important that it is something that is always new. The thing was before, with the music, with the light design, I mean, I love to do that parts, but sometimes you get in a rut, in a routine. And in this way, with this kind of things, there is always something new. There is always a new technology. There is always a new way to do something, a lot of new artists. So what we love is like breaking the limits every year and trying to do something new. I do remember, honestly, I do remember that day when this happened in Croatia, that they, said like the COVID is starting really seriously. We just know we got canceled, like all the events until the end of the year. Basically, the company just broke down in one day, and that was like a shock, honestly. I mean, I do remember for the whole people in this industry, especially in the live event industry, it was like, okay. So I think after 1 month of grieving and being a bit depressed,
A
it was
shock,
like,
yeah.
okay, this is not a problem. This is a challenge, This is what
An
creative people say.
opportunity,
Like,
yeah.
exactly. So like, let's start to see what we can do here in this way, because we knew that even if this goes away, it's not gonna come back to the old things so soon. Strange 2 years because we love to do that, but the part of us not traveling around, because outside of the festival as an organizer, we also have our own creative group called Visualia Group, who are doing the artworks for other festivals in the world. And not to travel, I think everybody remembered that feeling. For me personally, it was like I was a bit tired of the airplanes, before
Yeah.
COVID. But after a year and a half not traveling, I was just waiting to sit in the airplane and seeing the steward do this, and I was like, thank you, we're back.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Yeah.
Exactly. That was like, oh,
You didn't want to quit it. You just needed a break.
yeah, actually, that was, I think a lot of people needed there during COVID. I mean, for me personally, there were some really positive things in a COVID, to go into the nature, to calm down with the business, with the rushing, with that crazy energy that we had before, which is perfect, but sometimes you really need to take some time for yourself. So in that way, I do really appreciate some things that happened during COVID. And of course, another thing that is really important with this kind of festivals is there's a lot of people coming to this kind of festivals. So it means we have a tool, to send some kind of message to a wider amount of the audience. So we try to send these messages, especially if it's like environmental messages or
Mhm.
this kind of topics, because they're important. And this is the way we can do it. So we have, like mappings that are shiny and nice, and the walls are coming down, but there are some other that are more yeah, talking
Thought-provoking
about
and
exactly. So it's an interesting to talk about it. For instance, this year we had an open call for the mappings, and then we had a winner, which is from Ukraine, and which is really amazing because they didn't do a mapping on the war and on the topic of war between Ukraine and Russia, but they just did like a nice mapping about Ukraine, their symbols, their heritage, their history. It was really heartwarming to see something like that working on. So yeah, anyway, we do love to do it. We always know there is some kind of crisis happening in the world. Either is it COVID, or is it a recession, or is it some war, or is it whatever problem. There is unfortunately always something happening. So something that is concerning for us at the moment is the war in Europe with the Russia and Ukraine, and the effect that it has on electricity and electricity shortage and things like that. Is that, of course, it's happening that some countries are talking about canceling the light festivals because of the electricity consumption. And this is something that logically, when you see something like that, the first thing you think is like, oh my God, they're spending so much lights and they're spending so much electricity on things like that. But the things we want to say and want to educate and want to have a statement about it is that, for instance, if there's like 1,000 people watching this right now on the streets, they're not at their home and they're shutting down their air conditioning or their televisions and things like that. And we are in 2022, and LEDs are now the normal lights, and projectors are much less electricity consuming and power consuming than it was like 15 or 20 years ago. So I would say like we calculated this year really specifically how much energy are we spending, and we are spending around, I would say the number that we had is like 300 kilowatts per night, which is such a small amount of electricity. And we're even thinking about it, making a solar panel, which is gonna have the energy store in 1 year. With just one solar panel, we can store the electricity that we're spending on the whole festival. And for instance, the football field that has just one match for one night is spending more electricity than we are on like 20 locations in 3 nights. And the other thing is happening because we are a light festival, we are shutting down the street lights. And again, we are, spending less electricity. So in the end, if we are doing a light festival, there is less spending of the electricity than without the light festival. When we started talking about it, it was way before the metaverse from Facebook. And what Facebook did is basically they just announced what is going to be the future of it. And now we still have years in front of us, just to be prepared, because this is just the beginning. So, and hopefully we're going to use it in a right way for for humanity, not to be a bit more digital, but a way to try to improve ourselves, hopefully.
And to give access to those who don't,
Exactly.
Not everybody can go to anywhere, and they can't go to Lyon or Pula or wherever the festival is, and
for sure,
some people, so many people don't even have water, let alone.
Exactly. And we're talking about this kind of topics. Yeah, a bit. No, but yeah, I think that every person who can help in any way, just to improve a little bit, that's something that all of us can do. If you remember the consoles for playing in the 90s, it was, so we had here like Super Nintendo with a beautiful little joystick. So we made this joystick 3 meters big. So it was like bigger than a person, that you can stand on it and you play with your feet. And the thing was, on the building, like the ones that we saw before, between the windows, you were playing with 2 turtles like Pac-Man, and you were running away from the plastic. And on the top of the building, there was a boat throwing plastic into the water. So your idea was you need to go away from the plastic. Otherwise, if the plastic catches you, the turtle, you need to go to the hospital. And the whole idea with that was because in Pula we have a National Center for Recovery for Turtles in Croatia. So they save a lot of turtles, and they're really problematic with the plastics that is
Right.
going to the water. They really found plastic zippers or bags or whatever inside of the nose of the turtle or things like that. And this was something for the kids because they were really happy, they can play a game on the building. But afterwards it was like, mommy, we need to watch out and not to throw plastic into the water because the poor turtles are gonna go get some help. So this was a way that
Fantastic.
we can educate and show some things in a really creative and new way that it's not going to be boring for kids or be like, oh my god, we have to learn something.